Lou Barbecue and other things I want to do. I'm Big Lou, and this is what I've got going on for you. I'm going to show you how to make some Tasso. Yeah, I've done Tasso before. I did it on the grill. Today I'm doing it in my UDS. My UDS is probably my favorite Tasso maker, but you can make Tasso in just about any kind of smoker you got, all right? Last time I made Tasso, I used country-style ribs. This time I'm using pork steak. Both are cut from the pork butt, and if you want to get a whole pork butt and slice it up yourself and make Tasso, you can. It's a real simple recipe. Doesn't include a wet brine, and you need to leave it in the fridge for 2 to 3 days. I like about 3 days. I prepared this on the Saturday night. I'm gonna show you how I prepped it. And then it's Wednesday morning and we got it smoked this morning. Anyway, Tasso is delicious in greens. It's delicious in beans and all sorts of other things. I love it in jambalaya. Absolutely love it in jambalaya. Good in gumbo and just a Tasso gravy too. I've even put it on pizza. Look, I've got several Tasso videos now, so I think I'm gonna make a Tasso playlist and I'm gonna leave it linked down below, and this will be part of it. If you wanna see other Tasso recipes or how to use Tasso, just check the playlist, all right? And I'll be adding more recipes with Tasso to that playlist as my channel continues to develop. First we're gonna do is make the wet cure and the dry cure. The wet cure is a 1/2 cup of Worcestershire sauce, and to that we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of Tabasco sauce. 1 tablespoon is 1/2 ounce. So I got this to the 4 ounce mark right there, and all I'm gonna do is add the Tabasco till it gets to the 4.5 ounce mark. All right, I've already taken out the flow restrictor from the Tabasco bottle. Yeah, buddy. Very few hot sauces can compete with Tabasco. A lot of people knock it, but it's aged longer than anything else, and it's just an awesome Tabasco sauce. And one of the few that's actually made with Tabasco peppers. Okay, see, what I've done now is gotten it to the, I don't want to tilt it too much, it'll spill, but to the 4.5 ounce mark. So that's what we've got there. That's the wet cure. All right, for the dry cure, this is 1 ounce of Morton Tender Quick. This is that meat curing stuff. So it's a good salt for that. It's got the nitrates in it and everything to help cure the meat. So 1 ounce of Morton Tender Quick and 1 ounce of regular table salt, all right? 2 ounces of cayenne pepper. This is cayenne that I grew in my garden this past year and ground up, so that's good. This is a black pepper. You can use fresh ground if you want. This is the stuff out of the little rectangular box. All right, and then 1/2 cup of garlic powder, or what I've done is I've done 3.5 ounces of garlic powder and 1/2 ounce of onion powder, all right? And we're gonna put that in there. And now, put the lid on it. Shake, rattle, and roll. Shake, rattle, and roll. And we have our meat cure. I'm gonna continue to shake this till it's mixed well, but let's go ahead and cut up the pork, okay? All right, what I have here is 4 pork steaks. Pork steaks are cut from the pork butt meat. You can start with a whole pork butt and slice it yourself, or you can buy pork steaks or country style ribs that are made from the pork butt, which is what I usually do for Tasso and what you saw in the last video where I did it on the grill. What I wanna do is take out the blade bone, cut off any large areas of fat, and trim some of the fat away. And so this is going to be in a lot of different pieces here in a few minutes when you see it again. But basically I'm gonna get a knife and trim off the fat and just keep the lean portions for the Tasso. All right, so these will be my Tasso pieces. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that Worcestershire sauce with that 1 tablespoon of Tabasco, and I'm just gonna paint it all over these pieces, okay? I'm not gonna reuse this for anything. So I'm gonna do both sides like this, just get it all coated as liberally as I want to, because you want that, not a whole lot of Tabasco sauce in it, but there's enough to give it that spice that Tasso needs. And so we're gonna just paint it like this. I'm gonna flip these over and paint the other side, and then we're going to put the dry rub on them. Well, okay, I got that on there. Now, obviously the recipe for the cure and the wet cure and the dry cure there is for much more meat than what I'm doing here. Like I said, I'm doing the 4 pork steaks. But you can save that dry cure for later. I've poured some off into this little old shaker jar so I can shake it on here. Of course, I got to pour out that Worcestershire sauce. I should have scaled it back because I'm not doing the full 4 pounds of actual meat. It was 4 1-pound pork steaks, but by the time I cut out the bone and the fat and all, this is what I've got left. And of course, I had plenty of that Worcestershire sauce I had to dispose of because I dipped the brush back into it. All right, so anyway, I'm just gonna sprinkle this all over it and get this cure all in it. And I want it down in there, so I'm gonna pat it. And then I'm gonna pat the other side, okay? And so we're gonna get this all done like that. Just get that cure all over these pork pieces. Now we'll flip them over, do the same thing. All right, if you want to know how much it was about 2/3 of this jar, whatever, how big that jar was, that I used to season up the meat from these 4 pork steaks. We'll put them into a Ziploc bag and just put it in the refrigerator and just let it sit there for at least 3 days. This is Saturday night, and I'll be cooking this on Wednesday. Not sure if I'll cook it on Wednesday morning or Wednesday afternoon. I'll let you know when I get to that point. But right now, I'm just gonna seal this up, get the air out of it, and keep it in the fridge and turn it several times. Every 12 hours or at least once a day, turn it over and let that meat get good and cured in there with that tender quick and all those nice spices. Well, you want to smoke it low and slow. 225 is about a max you want. Some people do 200, some people do as low as 175. I like to smoke around the boiling temperature, about 212, but anyway, it's about 225 right now, and that's the way I'm gonna put it on. Kind of overshot the temperature a little bit and had to bring it back down. And once I put the meat on there, I think it'll bring the temperature down a little bit. So it's been in the bag for Saturday night, and it's now Wednesday morning. It's about 8 a.m. Wednesday morning. And I flipped it over in the refrigerator. Try to do every 12 hours, but at least once a day, I just flip it over. So I'm gonna put these on here, and they should go for about 2.5 hours. When I do the pork steaks that are thin cut like this, about 2.5 hours all I need, maybe 3. If I do the country style ribs, which are cut thicker, sometimes as much as 4 hours. Now I have an upper rack on this smoker. If you don't have an upper rack on your UDS, or if you're not using a UDS, I guess it doesn't matter. But if you do have a UDS and your rack is, way down there, you can, and you have 2 grates, you can easily set some cans on there, soda cans, beer cans, whatever, and set another rack to get it just a little bit higher, just to keep the a little bit further away from the fire. So we're just gonna set it on here like this and let it go for about 2.5 hours. Looking for a temperature of about 145 or so. All right, there we go. It's all on. Low and slow, 2.5 hours. 3 minutes after I put it on, the temperature has dropped down to 200 or just above 200. That's about where I want it. So it's looking good. Use a slide vent on this UDS, and it's just barely open. Just really 1 row of holes, because that 2 rows right there is over the edge. So, and that's keeping it where I want it to be. Don't know if you can see it, but don't have any thick white smoke coming out of it. It's that thin smoke. And I'm using oak. Now, the kind of wood you got is kind of wood you ought to use, but I do highly recommend pecan for this, and maybe sugarcane strips, but pecan's a good source for it, but oak's what I have, so oak's what I'm using. Well, I wanted to flip these over at about the 1.5 hour mark, do about 1.5 hours on one side and the other hour on the other, but I'm actually about 1 hour and 50 minutes into this cook, maybe 1 hour and 45 minutes, and so the last 45 minutes to 1 hour, they'll be on the other side. So let's take a look at them. Oh, they are looking wonderful. I probably don't even need to turn them, but I want to turn them. But they are getting that reddish color to it that cured meat gets. That's what you want. You want it to look like that, like a ham or a summer sausage. And just gonna flip them over, and they're gonna go probably another 45 minutes. I can tell that some of them are soft. Some of them are, the thinner ones seem to be getting good and done. But this is a fantastic seasoning meat. If you've never tried to make your own tasso or eat tasso or cook with tasso, you should try it. You pot of greens. I love it in jambalaya. Absolutely love it in jambalaya. All right, I'll let it go like that for about another 45 minutes and we should be good to go. Smoking at 200 degrees now. All right, it's been exactly 2.5 hours. And that's usually about what I do with when I use pork steaks that are cut thin like this. If I use country style ribs, like I said, 3.5 to 4 hours, I don't need to check that. I can look at that and tell that it's done. It is got that springiness to it. I'm gonna let it cool down and I'll slice it open, show you the little pink to it, and I'll take a little bite of it on camera for you. And that's it, guys. Tasso on the UDS. All right, That's all there is to it. Now look, you want this pink color to it, okay? Looks like that on the outside, and then that's a little bit of inside. You want that pink sort of ham color to it, you know, a cured meat color. And more of that is good. You don't want to eat this as a meal. It is kind of spicy, but it goes in stuff, you know? But, oh yeah, that is really, really good. Not a bad snack either. If you never tried Tasso, I encourage you to try it. It's easy to make, and it's so versatile to cook with. Makes stuff just taste really good when you put it in it. Thanks for watching Big Lou Barbecue.